Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Stuff. I am here in Ocean Park, Santa Monica, right on the border of Venice, to bring you this week's Powerful Stuff episode, which is, and I quote, "But I thought I already healed that!" Exclamation, exclamation, end quote. So I've noticed a few clients and myself included, guys, I am not going to lie to you, had similar tests resurface that we thought we healed. We had done the plant medicine ceremony. We had done the Hoffman process. We had done hours of working on this with our coach or whatever, if you were in the upgrade, and then something resurfaces and you might notice that sneaky little that sneaky little voice that says change is not possible. See, this is happening again. You are stuck in awareness hell. You are burning in the purgatories of awareness hell. And then you kind of start to spiral of like, wow, well, I guess this is just my baseline. And I guess that's just who I am. Right. And those sneaky, pernicious little thoughts come up of just like, I won't ever be able to change. This is just who I am now. And guys, have you been there before? Show of hands. Okay. I feel you raising your hand. You know what? I have been there before too. We have all been there together. And I want to just give you a quick little reminder today of why things revisit us and why it's actually a blessing. And there's a few reasons. So when things revisit us, it's not to say, and I don't want you telling yourself that old story. It's not to say, I haven't changed. Change isn't possible. I thought I healed this, right? And I kind of talked about this at after the Tony Robbins as well, right? Is that we don't always need to be getting fucking new insights and new innovative breakthroughs or healing modalities, right? That's our high achiever coming in being like, I need more healing. I need more new breakthroughs that I've never had before, when sometimes the actual medicine is getting revisited by an old trigger. And it's not to say we haven't healed it, but there's a few things that could be going on. Number one, it could be that we just need a little reminder, right? You might have good friends that you fall out of touch with and you just need to like resync with them and then it's all good. You don't go, and I've used this metaphor countless times, but it's just such a good one, guys. So we're going to use it again. But you don't go to the dentist and you're like, great, well, I have no cavities. So I guess I just don't have to brush my teeth anymore now that I got them cleaned once, right? You still have to you still have to clean those teeth. So like if you're getting visited by a trigger again, it's not to say you haven't changed, but that probably you need a little reminder. It's gotten a little stale. It's gotten a little stagnant. And usually when I refer to that staleness or stagnation, it's literally your inner child being like, I'm feeling a little neglected. I need a little reminder or a little acknowledgement that everything's going to be okay. Right. So that could be one of those things. So the beauty of that is it's actually super fucking simple. Instead of attaching to the old story, which is kind of like junk food, it's so easy to attach to that story, but don't do it. Where you're like, yeah, I guess this is just who I am or whatever, right? Because then it's like the old junk food. It means you don't have to put in the work or make a new choice or whatever. But it's actually to be like, okay, my little inner child is acting up. Maybe it's like in the form of self-sabotage or negative thought spirals, right? They just need a little reminder. So I'm going to let them speak. What is on your pretty little heart? Sit your inner child down. What is on your little heart? Tell me. I want to know. And then from there, you just give them some acknowledgement. I know that fucking sucks, right? Empathize with them. I know it's hard. And remember all these other times we broke the cycle and it worked out. Remember how good that felt? Let's do that again. Let's run that back, right? So you empathize with them, you acknowledge them, and then you remind them of times that you've broken that cycle before and you can do it again. And isn't that a beautiful thing? And sometimes when our inner child feels acknowledged and seen, they will relax, they will soften, they will allow you then to have this space to create the new awareness to break the feedback loop. So that's one thing. And I like to say we need to be reminded again and again and again. If we've been doing something a certain way for 3 decades or 4 decades or however long, it's not just going to be like we heal it once in a ceremony or in a retreat. We might mess up a few times. We might take 5 steps forward and 1 step backward. And sometimes the biggest breaking of a cycle isn't never doing it again. It's doing it again. But instead of beating ourselves up or feeling paralyzed by shame, it's picking ourselves up and having self-compassion and being like, okay, I'd usually get mad at myself at this point in the negative feedback loop, but now I'm going to give myself compassion and ask my younger self what they need. And that is the alchemy. That is where we change. That is how we move things. So that's one way I like to say patterns revisit us. And I needed to do that. Let me give you guys an example. I mean, I've had so many clients do this, and part of the integration work after women finish the upgrade is being reminded of this, right? That those patterns are going to come up again, but it's actually how they speak to themselves when they do, and the choices they make, and the self-compassion that actually breaks the cycle. Sometimes it isn't this huge, insanely foreign shift of energy, but simply just like, what do you need? Like, I got you energy that breaks everything. The second thing that I like to say, and I want to shout out my friend Alex Keller. Alex, if you're listening, for I was going to give you guys the anecdote for that. Sorry, but I'm going to get back to that shout out. Don't you guys worry. But yeah, so with that first one being revisited in order to be reminded, I think that one of my things that I was thinking about this week, which I'm so fucking grateful for, is around the time of my wedding and my baby, my bachelorette 2 years ago. I have trouble, or I'm working on, let me rephrase that. I'm working on receiving more because I'm oftentimes like the party planner or the facilitator, right? So it's harder for me to take that hat off in moments where other people want to celebrate me and they're planning for me. And sometimes how that then manifests, if like my inner Meredith feels a little uncomfortable, right? Because if I could let everyone, uh, you know, uh, provide for me and me to receive and be celebrated at a life milestone like a bachelorette or a wedding, it might challenge that sometimes sneaky belief that still comes up from time to time of I am not enough, right? And so if like I get to think of all the ways that it didn't go right or the people who didn't get to show up, that continues to help reinforce I'm not enough versus I am enough would be like celebrating everyone who is there and what is there, right? And obviously I've done so much work on myself to know that I am enough, but in situations that are like magnified like that, like a wedding or a bachelorette, it's really a practice and an art for me personally to like, it's like the Olympics of that, of completely surrendering and just allowing myself to be in or receiving in gratitude mode. So when I think about my bachelorette and my wedding, I'm so grateful and they were so incredible. And if I could go back in time, I would tell that Meredith, just like enjoy it even more, right? There was parts of me, of course, it's like emotions are running high for various amount of reasons because it's like big life events. But there were part of me during those that had trouble receiving and then had felt bad for having trouble receiving, or like might have focused on like some of the things that were like, little in hindsight, but like felt bigger at the time. Like if I could go back and tell that Meredith, I would just be like, just relax, have fun. Like so many people love you. You had like 19 women at your bachelorette. Like you are so fucking loved, and your besties like put on this incredible bachelorette for you. And I did really enjoy it at the time, but it's just like, I would go back and tell myself to savor it even more. So, flash forward to this week, my friends are throwing me a baby shower, which I'm so fucking grateful for. And I'm so excited. And our little son is so already feeling so loved. So, I am noticing myself having that feeling of like wanting to like control or like put on my facilitator hat, come in, or like wanting to make sure it's not too much of a burden for them or that they're not doing it out of obligation, or just like finding like little things to like worry about for it instead of just like allowing myself to receive of like, even if like it's just my friend showing up, sitting in a room, like celebrating me and my baby and my husband, like that's enough, but I've noticed myself start to be like, I hope it's not too much trouble for them. How can I take things off their plate? Even though they're like, no, it's fine. Like relax, So I've noticed that similar pattern come creeping up. So I've had to do this step one that I've told you guys about of like, you know, surrendering, allowing, like letting little Meredith get those fears off of her chest. Like, okay, little Mare, what do you need? Well, it feels like vulnerable to have everyone flying in and celebrating me, and I hope they're not doing it out of obligation and da 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 da. Right? Just letting her speak, even though intellectual elder Meredith knows that that's not true, but like allowing her to speak and be like empathizing with it. I get that. I get there's a lot of emotions and you're grateful, and like receiving is something you're continuing to work on. And remember, like, after the wedding and the bachelorette, like how much you wanted to savor it even more. And like, remember these other times you allowed yourself to receive, and all this magic came in and it expanded and upgraded your own belief system of just allowing yourself to receive. Like, what can I do to help you feel safe to like let go and receive, right? Making that ask of little Meredith or your inner child of what do they need to feel safe to do that. So it wasn't so much that I hadn't already like healed those things after my wedding or bachelorette, or like talked about them with my own coach, right? At the time, it was that I'm being revisited by them because I need a reminder. And it's like the next life event like that. And I'm glad I have the foresight now ahead of the event to kind of like play with that and lean into it and go into the event with even more surrender. So that's my example. And then the second thing that I'll say with Alex Keller, my friend, shout out, gave me a Reiki session. And she had mentioned something about this was a few years ago, about my heart. And I think it might have also actually been about receiving as well, funnily enough. But, I had mentioned, oh, like, it's funny because that's something that I had like worked on a lot during XYZ ceremonies. And then she said, which I thought was a really like eloquent way of saying it, sometimes we're only given as much to heal at a time as we can. And, as we expand our capacity to heal and to hold things, we're given more. So it might not be that we've reached the root. We might be just given what we were meant to heal at that time, and now we're being showed a new dimension of it, or a new aspect, or a new learning from it, right? Because we're on the upward spiral. So it's not that we're like continually broken, but we're just being invited to deepen. And as we deepen in that healing, so do we deepen in our joy and our perspective. And it's also not to say like we need to keep healing always, but it's having that curiosity is her main, I took away as her main point of like, what else does it have to show me? What now with my life experience and the healing that I have done, or the journey that I have been on, does it allow for me to deepen perspective in a new way, or to sit in that for even longer, or whatever it might be. So that's kind of what I got from that. And I thought that that was really beautiful as well. So if you find yourself being revisited by a trigger, you can kind of ask yourself, do I need a reminder or acknowledgement, kind of like in point one? And they're both two sides of the same coin. Or in point two, like, what new things is it teaching me? How is it showing up now for another dimension of my healing? How is it showing up now for a further lesson? Because if it is showing up, it is showing up for a reason, right? For my growth. And if we truly deep down believe that it is for our highest growth, guess fucking what? It will be. So it's like, again, noticing where we want to fall into those old stories of like, oh, I thought I healed this or whatever. And being like, okay, if it's showing up, like, I either need to re-acknowledge myself, or and remind my inner child that they're safe, and it's usually an and, I need to be curious about what else could this show me? How else might this be inviting me to deepen in my learning? And if we truly believe each trigger is a treasure, it's like a new burst of energy that helps us break the trajectory that we're on and step into a new belief. How might this serve the version of me who I'm ready to step into? Who is that version of me, and how did they show up in this scenario, right? And kind of envisioning into the future of how they show up in this scenario when it's happening to you, or happening for you, as I like to say. And so that's what I tell a lot of my clients. They'll get out of the upgrade, it'll be 6 months later, and then they'll tell me like, oh, Meredith, I'm being revisited by this thing again. And I celebrate. I say, great. What new insight is it giving you? How is it inviting you to return to the tools that we used in the upgrade to be your own coach, right? So it's all about how you choose to work with that energy. Carolyn Elliott in Existential Kink said, like, you can either make a heaven out of hell or a hell out of heaven, depending on how you talk about it. So it's like, how are you choosing to have this thing happen for you? So those are the invitations, ladies and gentlemen. If you are feeling like you are being revisited by old lessons, this is a great time to deepen into self-compassion. This is a great time to deepen into curiosity and to ask yourself, what is my new initiation here? How can I use this to help me further growth? And you don't have to attach a huge story to it, or you need to have an entirely new huge breakthrough or huge insight. It could just be like, I need to revisit this, need to re-acknowledge myself, or I need to feel it on an even deeper level. Maybe it's a similar feeling or an insight that I've had before, but I'm really embodying it on a cellular level that feels different or new or exciting for me now. Okay, y'all. Wow. So powerful stuff, as some would say. But let us do a meditation to seal that in. So we'll close our eyes, take a deep breath in. Exhale, sigh it out, flutter your lips. Another deep breath in. Exhale, second flutter, just letting out any stress or tension. Third and deepest breath in. Exhale, let it go. And then slowing down your breath, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Noticing in your body where you feel this sensation of this trigger revisiting you, or this pattern. Noticing how it feels in that part of your body. Does it feel constricted, expansive, icky, shameful? Just breathing with it for a few breaths. And then as you breathe with it, asking it why it's come to revisit you. Why has this pattern come to revisit you? What is the thing that you need to be reminded of or deepened in? Feeling the medicine of whatever answer comes through. And then just as you sit with that answer, you breathe through the trigger, seeing your inner child in that moment, in that spot, and just asking them, what do they need to be reminded of or acknowledged for as you step into alchemizing this trigger? And then letting them know you can do that, acknowledging them, acknowledging the other times you've gotten through this similar pattern or trigger and how each time you came back stronger. And you're not given anything you can't handle or that isn't meant to be alchemized. And as you hug and soften with your inner child, feeling your heartbeat against theirs, feeling them transform into your highest self, and asking your highest self to show you how you move through this trigger in a way that honors and is in alignment with your highest self. Almost like you're watching it on a movie screen in your mind's eye. Seeing you hold true to that more empowered, curious story. And seeing how your highest self uses it to deepen and even more embodiment and alignment. And then asking your highest self for the perfect next step as you step into alchemizing this old story or this reoccurring trigger. What is their wisdom to you? What is that perfect next step? Trusting whatever they say, thanking them. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. Coming back into this space. So you slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. And writing down, what does your inner child need to hear and why is it showing up for you? Why is this pattern or thing showing up again? And how can you deepen with it? How can you be more curious? If 80-year-old you knew that it was showing up again for a very important reason, what would 80-year-old you's advice to your present self be? And how would you respond if you're like, if I pass this test again and in such a beautiful way, it's going to unlock the door to my next level of being? How would that change how you speak about it, the energy you think about it, how you're showing up for it? From why me to like, yay, this is happening. This means that things are moving and I can't wait to learn and grow. And it's not to say that some parts of it won't be a little uncomfortable or shitty. You can acknowledge that, but just having that excited mindset on the other side. And that is the powerful stuff. That is the alchemy. Let me know what thing is reoccurring for you that you are alchemizing. And I'm so excited, y'all. In 1 month from now, I'm going to do an upgrade masterclass, a 3-day masterclass. It's going to be my most affordable, accessible way to work with me in a group setting. So if you've been dying to do the upgrade, but it hasn't been the right time financially or time-wise, this is your chance. And I have early bird pricing until Thanksgiving. So hit me up if you would like more information on that. And I will see you next week for more powerful stuff. Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or the Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week.